The classroom is changing. Are you?
Okay, let's just dive right into it. If you've been anywhere near a classroom in the last, say, 10 years, you know what the biggest challenge is. It's not the curriculum, it's not the textbooks, it's the smartphone, that little glowing rectangle of infinite distraction that sits on pretty much every single desk. Today, we're going to unpack why this has become one of education's most persistent and, honestly, seemingly unsolvable problems. To really get a sense of the scale here, let's just start with a number: $5 billion. Yeah, according to industry research, that's the estimated value of instructional time that's lost every single year in US schools, all because of phone distraction. We're not talking about a few minutes here and there. This is a massive systemic drain on learning, on teacher energy, and ultimately on our kids' futures. And that brings us to the central question, right? The problem is painfully obvious to every single teacher, parent, and even the students themselves. So why are we still stuck here? Well, it's because the path to a solution is just littered with failed attempts. To figure out what might actually work, we first have to walk through the graveyard of what hasn't. So let's start our investigation. We're going to look at the most common approaches schools have tried, and you'll see each one of these failures actually gives us a clue about what a real solution needs to do. First up, the brute force method. Signal jammers. I mean, it sounds perfect, doesn't it? No signal, no distraction. Simple. The problem? It's completely illegal. The FCC strictly forbids them, and for a really, really good reason. They don't just block TikTok and Snapchat, they block 911 calls. In an emergency, that's a catastrophic failure. So this one's a total non-starter. Okay, so if you can't block the signal, what about physically locking the phone up? Companies like Yonder came up with these special locking pouches. Students pop their phone in, it locks, and it stays that way till the end of the day. The fatal flaw here: logistics. It is a logistical nightmare. The cost per student adds up incredibly fast, and worse, it creates this huge administrative burden. You have staff managing thousands of pouches every single day. It's just not scalable. All right, next is the old honor system. Hey kids, just put your phones in your lockers or your backpacks. This is probably the most common policy out there, and you know what? It's also the least effective. There's just no enforcement. A student can have a second phone or just not do it. Teachers are left with no real-time control, and the distraction just keeps going, maybe just a little more sneakily. So what happens when teachers get tough and just take the phones away? Well, strict confiscation policies often just backfire big time. They create these intense conflicts between teachers and students, which can derail the entire class. Plus, it's an administrative headache. You've got to log the devices, deal with angry parents, and you're now responsible for a $1,000 phone. It turns teachers into police officers instead of educators. So as you can see, when you lay it all out, the landscape is just a minefield of failures. We've got jammers that are illegal, pouches that are a logistical mess, and other things like trying to block the Wi-Fi. Well, students just switch to cellular data. And those broad mobile device management systems, or MDMs, they usually lack the super specific real-time control a teacher needs in their own classroom. This whole trail of broken attempts created a massive vacuum in the market for anything that was legal, scalable, and didn't compromise safety. And that vacuum is where our story takes a really interesting turn. A whole new category of software-based solutions has started to pop up, and they've learned from every single one of these past failures. We're going to look at one example, a company called FocusGate, which has a totally different philosophy. It's not about confiscation, it's about controlled integration. Now this really shows you the huge shift in thinking. The old way, on the left, was all about hardware, physical bans, taking phones away, basically treating the phone like an enemy that had to be removed from the battlefield. This new approach, the software way, is all about control and integration. It treats the phone like the powerful tool it is, one that just needs to be managed effectively. So what is a solution like this exactly? Well, at its core, it's a legal, software-based app for classroom control. Its entire purpose is to give teachers the power to manage the digital environment in their own classroom, to turn the biggest liability in modern education into a tool that can actually be used for learning when the time is right. So this idea of control, not confiscation, it sounds great, but how does it actually work? Let's break down what it looks like for the teachers, for the students, and for the parents in a real classroom. The whole process is designed to be completely seamless, almost invisible. A student walks into class, they open the app, and they scan the unique QR code just for that class period. Boom. Instantly, their phone goes into a focus mode that the teacher controls, and their name pops up on the teacher's live roster. The whole thing takes like 5 seconds. No collecting phones, no nagging. And from the teacher's side, this is basically a command center. With one click, they can start or end a focus session for the whole class. They can switch between different profiles, say a lecture mode that locks everything down, versus a collaboration mode that maybe allows access to a dictionary app or a calculator. They can even give one specific student temporary access if they need it. It's all about dynamic, real-time control. And this is absolutely crucial. This type of system is built with safety as a top priority. Remember the fatal flaw with jammers? Well, this approach guarantees that 911 and other approved emergency contacts are always available no matter what focus mode is on. Parents also get a secure portal where they can review the school's policies and manage permissions. It's all about creating transparency and trust. Okay, so we've got an approach that works technologically, but can it actually succeed out there in the real world? Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the market need, and the people driving this new wave of solutions. Hey, remember that $5 billion number from the beginning? That's not just lost learning time. It is a massive unmet need in the entire edtech industry. It's a huge flashing sign that says schools are desperate for a solution. It shows just how big the demand is for a tool that can finally crack this problem at scale. And this is where we get to the human element, which I think is so important. The best ideas usually don't come from a boardroom, they come from the front lines. The founder of this particular solution, Melody Jensen, was a physics teacher who lived this exact frustration every single day. That real, authentic classroom experience is baked right into the DNA of this whole approach. But you know, a great idea needs an amazing team to actually make it happen. And in this case, it's a really powerful blend of different kinds of expertise. You've got Melody, the educator, Tyler Jensen, a top performance strategist as the COO, Bill Schuffenhauer, a 3-time Olympian and business developer as the CBDO, and James Catherine, a true tech innovator as the CTO. It's that perfect mix of education, strategy, and tech that you need to bring a vision like this to life. So, when you boil it all down, the crucial point is this. The fight against phones in the classroom was never going to be won by just banning them. The winning strategy, it seems, is all about managing them. It's about giving control back to educators and changing the whole narrative from prohibition to purpose. And, in the process, reclaiming those billions of lost hours for actual learning. And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. For more than a decade now, the smartphone has been seen as the enemy of education. But as these new tools and new ways of thinking emerge, can we finally flip the script? Is it possible to turn the biggest classroom distraction into a powerful, controlled, and even effective learning tool for the next generation? The answer to that question could literally redefine the modern classroom.
We believe in educators first, distractions last. Help us make this vision a reality through partnership and continued development.